All right, Ruckus and Miss episode number 180, starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ruckus and the Menace fam, how's it going? You are tuned in to the Ruckus and the Menace podcast. I'm Spennis the Menace, and this episode is brought to you by A Straight Line because it is episode 180.
Yay, if you learned that, it's because geometry, and that was my worst math. This is your captain speaking. This is Uncle Ruckus saying that geometry sucks. That's all.
Had to throw something in there that was at least a little bit of a pun, or also what you could call the sum of the three angles of a triangle. But I digress. Ruckus, how have we been holding up here going into episode 180 of this podcast?
Can I raise my hand really quick, Mr. Spennis?
No, Patrick, mayonnaise is not an instrument.
I just wanted to know if you didn't have to explain it all that much and just say like you were like a teacher for geometry because that's what it sounded like. Anyways,
No, I just was throwing it as like a it was supposed to be a joke bit.
and you already extended, but anyways, let's keep going.
But it seems all right here. And we can kind of get you guys a little bit of an update on how things have kind of been going along for the channel. We'll kind of give you some updates of this and kind of some other activity we've got along the way. Ruckus, I'll let you go ahead and get started.
Well, for me, it's just mainly Get Ready to Ruckus is kind of just been on the back burner mainly because I'm trying to add some more creativity to the episodes rather than just me just sitting there lollygagging and then all of a sudden getting into fights with giant robots. After a while it gets old, but it's more fun whenever you have people to interact with that also may or may not have the same experience that you do, but I don't know. The new map is pretty nice. They added more Great Mullion advantages or extras so that you could just gather that for more herbal advantages, especially because the difficulty is at max. But other than that, I played a little bit of Battlefield 6 today, and the new update, it's okay. You'll probably enjoy it if you like the challenge of trying to survive on a running railroad cart and just surviving on a checkpoint, which I think is the middle part of the map, which is the gimmick for the whole map. But it was a old Battlefield 4 map, and the main gimmick was you had a railroad car that you had to defend and it would be moving, so you would have to like make sure that you don't get sniped from a certain angle of the map from someone that's way far out just trying to take advantage, but it's okay. I just have to get used to it. I've been playing more Battlefield anyways, just to like level up for guns that are in the battle pass. But
Yeah,
other than
we
that, I've been
can
playing MLB The Show. But again,
yeah, we can get
that's
further
me.
into that around LCA
Yep, that's just
and
me.
kind of your deeper dive there. But as far as projects that I have been a part of along the way, nostalgia tripping. I'm going to address that first. Season 2, I am still potentially kicking around a smaller summer project season before going into a big game this fall. The big game this fall is likely going to be Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, but I am still kicking around a potential thought for the summer run. I'm leaning toward potentially like Uncharted 2 or something along the lines of a different run that may be more retro based. But but we'll still figure out something for the summer before the fall. The Alex Mann Spanish collab of Mario Party, currently going live right now, currently being uploaded on Alex's YouTube channel, are the Bowser's Magma Mountain episodes, but we have also completed all of the Mario Party 1 recording. And those releases should be coming soon. Or at least the rest of the episode should be coming soon for the Eternal Star and the tail end of Bowser's Magma Mountain. Mickey K-Line Road to the Show details. They are still airing on Mondays and Fridays up to this point, but the series may come to an end here soon, as I will be getting ready to go on vacation and making room for more ideas coming down the pipeline. Nostalgia tripping, potentially some other ideas along the way. And on that note, why don't we get to what we do really better for most of it, and that's getting into a little bit of some sports breakdown as we head into the beginning of the true episodes on the sports side of the podcast: the good, the bad, and the ugly.
I'll roll it. All right. So for the good this week,
The good this week was set by me, and that is that the NL Central, currently up to this point, and this actually should include, as of today, all 5 teams in the NL Central are above 500. Every one of them has won at least 22 games and are all within 5 games of each other. This looks like it's going to be a very entertaining race if this continues out, and I wouldn't be surprised if all the slots for the playoffs come from this division.
it's also kind of similar to the AL Central a little bit, where like everyone's kind of like a half game back, because I think they said something about the Royals being like a half game back from first place, but
They're
everyone
two
was
games
tied.
back right now. As of time of recording, it is 2 games back. The Minnesota Twins are 3 games back.
Okay,
It's a little tighter in that race, but the records are nowhere near as good.
right. I was just pointing that out.
Yep. And the not so good this week, the bad, is that we're not necessarily getting to celebrate the the promotion to premiership for the Ryan Reynolds owned Wrexham, as they just missed the promotion playoff opportunity by 2 points.
They really got
And
Wrexhamed.
late in that regard, and Snoop Dogg's minority ownership investment into Swansea City still has them one league away from promotion to the Premier League. So they're both gonna still square off against each other in the championship division of the English Prem, or of the English leagues, which is just below the Premier League. And Ruckus, I'll let you go right into the downright ugly this week.
All right. So the ugliest week it involves a specific person, and that specific person is someone that Mike Vrabel loves very much, probably still, but won't admit to the public. Diana Rossini. Yeah. We get it. She did X, Y, or Z, but the most important part of this whole ugly is Ellie Duncan. She was responding to the controversy and or allegations, which I don't even think have been up yet for whether or not they guaranteed were doing things or whatnot. Who cares?
And
Anyways,
there was also a private boat ride and all this other stuff while they were while Vrabel was in Tennessee. So it's been like an over like a significant amount of time.
Yep, and so the reason why I bring this up is Ellie Duncan was trying to make it into how this affects everyone in the business, and I think of it as more as Diana Rossini fafoed, and now it's all just coming into fruition all of a sudden. And I don't think, I mean, it might affect, but honestly, it comes down to character of the person. Like,
Yeah.
that's about
It
it.
in a sense it does kind of go down to like a particular point of ethic. Like there is some ethics that is involved with this. I mean,
But
you
she didn't
see
have to do a Lisa Simpson where she's like pointing out the obvious, but at the same time, like making it a more political problem rather than just like
it's
saying what it is.
it's a double like there are some like there's some really bad double standards involved as well, it seems. But I think if you really put it into perspective, it does affect Rossini. It does affect others involved. And the reason why I think it affects, but it also affects also potential journalistic interactions, especially when the two sides are of the opposite gender.
Also, you don't really see a whole lot of that with males. It seems more like, I mean, yeah, the Michigan State guy, his whole thing was like just there and done, but when it comes to like a female, it's more like um paparazzi rather than like just straight up this or that. You know what I mean?
I mean, you still also had, I think it was like Jay Glazer was out at a certain function with a bunch of NFL coaches. But
Paparazzi.
I mean, there was even video evidence of that. So it's not like so it's not like that. But the problem is that a lot of like big name public figure journalists at these big companies, yes, a lot more of that can get put under a microscope,
Yeah.
especially no matter what you do, especially because you're dealing with such high profile public figures on the other end that it's a little more that yes, there is it is a sense of yes, a paparazzi effect.
Anyways, my point is too long didn't read, but at the same time, what she said could have been uh sent in an email or at least just not in the public eye. Anyways, let's keep going.
All right. We do have no high heat this week, so we are going to right into the color commentary where we have some rumor mills, speculation corner, and predictions. And our first one involves none other than everybody's favorite head case receiver, Stephon Diggs.
Oh, I thought it was Tyreek Hill.
I mean, Tyreek Hill's his own head case, but
Please tell me you could have said what's the difference and we could have laughed.
I I really I there is also a what's the difference, but I think the difference that really comes along here is pretty apparent. Stephon Diggs just was on a Super Bowl team while Tyreek Hill was basically dealing with a pretty serious knee injury.
Oh, boohoo, besides that.
But Stephon Diggs is one of the top wide receiver free agents still unsigned. Yeah, you can claim Tyreek Hill, but I think teams and rumors seem to be more on the Stephon Diggs camp, as rumors have ranged from New England, Baltimore, and even some speculation of Washington and Kansas City getting involved.
Why would
But
New
the big
England want
question
him if they
becomes
already signed him beforehand? Like, yeah, they could have made him cheaper, but what they should have done that beforehand, kind of like how Darius Slay did to like weed off all of the allegations of that.
hmm,
That's what I'm saying.
But
Like, cause I've
but
seen it
it could be
before.
but it could be a best case scenario. But it could be a case scenario where Stephon Diggs may have nowhere else to go, or some of these teams that yeah, their speculation of interest may not really be interested. But the question is, where do you think Stephon Diggs goes?
Um, I honestly just think Stephon Diggs probably gets. Hmm. I don't think he gets the same treatment as Trevor Bauer, where he's just kind of like shunned from the league, like in a way that doesn't make it to where like he's shunned from the NFL to actually sign anywhere. But like, I don't know. He just got out of a legal case that he had with a cook. Also, Cardi B was talking some shit, which I think she probably caused more shit than actually being beneficial to Stephon Diggs.
Yeah,
But like, I don't give a fuck where he goes. If he comes to Kansas City, so be it. But it'd just be a Juju Smith fill role at that point because I don't think Juju Smith really cares to play in the league ever again. Like the guy barely played in Kansas City last year and did a couple first down drives, but that was about it. Like he didn't do a whole lot. And Savon Diggs would probably be an upgrade to Rasheed Rice too, but at the same time, you don't know Rasheed Rice's timeline. That's all I'm gonna say there.
I think Rasheed Rice also being younger and kind of the same receiver model as Stephon Diggs in terms of size, ability, catching wise. I don't think that Kansas City ultimately becomes the destination.
Correct.
But the bigger rumors and speculation that I've seen is that Stephon Diggs wants to eventually return to the DMV, which pretty much means the two Beltway teams are some of the favorites. And I, being a fan of one of those said teams, that being the Washington Commanders, I have two words that I would love to say if I were Adam Peters for this. No thanks.
Oh, I thought you were gonna be like the one guy that says, and I think I don't even remember if that was actually that was Little Big League or something where
Hey,
the guy in the back of the Wrigley was talking to Bowen Gardner or whatever his name was,
oh,
and
that's rookie of the year.
Rookie of the Year. Yeah, or the random old guys like, "Come on in."
No, I am saying no thanks. I personally, as a Commanders fan, do not want Stephon Diggs. And the problem is that Washington also, should San Francisco finally decide to pull the trigger, they're wanting to also like. It's been rumored also that Brandon Ayuk wants to come to DC. And for the amount of the head case of a wide receiver that he has been over the last couple of years, my two words also for Brandon Ayuk are the same that I would say for Stephon Diggs. No thanks. I do not want
Honestly,
it.
Ayuk pretty much was placed with a uh preposition sticker that said that this item may cause cancer or some side effects in the state of California.
Yeah, I do not want Brandon. I do not want Brandon Ayuk on this team. I do not want Stephon Diggs on this team. I would rather have more with less. I'd rather do more with less at this point. And then if we need to look at a receiver
It,
next year, we can potentially have some sort of move to help support Terry in that regard, especially if we have Antonio Williams rise up and become a great third round talent that he has the potential to be.
by the
So
way,
I think
the proposition I was talking about is Proposition 65 for California with that degree. But anyway, Spanish.
Yeah.
keep going.
But I also am going to say that I think if I were to say out of all the teams there, I think Baltimore would be the most interested, I think, to truly take him if they can afford it. Because I just don't think Washington is the right fit for a receiver like Diggs. I just don't think he's the right fit. So I'm gonna say if I had a favorite pick on this, it's probably him going to Baltimore.
Seems more likely.
Yep. The next one here, the Jets have announced a 3-year extension for Brees Lightning, that being Brees Hall. With the certainties of the Jets' offense very much in question, was this a good move for him? And will he be burning up the quarter mile much more at MetLife?
Um, with what O line? Because like it seems like the O line is the engine for Brees Lightning if he's gonna actually burning up a quarter mile, and there's really none to speak of. That's why a lot of quarterbacks have gone under the knife or been hurt, aka Aaron Rodgers, anyone. But at the same
Oh,
time, for Brees Lightning, he's also had some injury woes here and
he's
there
had
in the
injury
beginning.
history. He's had injury history,
So,
but last year he was a 1,000-yard rusher
woo!
and
Um,
did and I believe he also played nearly and Brees Hall has played actually nearly every single game for the last 3 years. He played every single game in 2023, 16 and 24, and 16 and 25. So he's had a couple of healthy seasons, or healthier seasons, I should say.
we'll see what happens, but I think Brees Lightning needs to. He's probably got a few traffic tickets that he needs to get through when it comes to his wear and tear in the league.
Hmm. I agree with the wear and tear. I agree with the wear
Those
and tear
tires
side.
are not gonna change themselves.
Yeah, he's on his career high in touches. He's on his career high in yards. He'll probably still be splitting carries with Braylon Allen if he come should he come back all the way through. Geno Smith, the Jets will want to throw the ball a little bit with getting Garrett Wilson and Adonai Mitchell and working in the involvement of Kenyon Sadiq and Mason Taylor. So I mean, they've and also on top of that, the Jets do have Olufashanu at left tackle, and they've got a couple of linemen that may be interesting to see how they do. But I think the Jets are just a lost cause. But they've always been a lost cause of an organization, it seems. So I'm gonna say that as far as this being a good move, if you're looking at potential for numbers, eh, I think this is one where he may go through like one or two more years and then potentially get traded off. He potentially could be a trade piece somewhere down the line, especially as closer to that extension coming away. Especially if he continues to play well and the Jets not being able to afford to keep him. But I think the Jets have more. I think they had bigger pieces that they needed to make sure were in place and effective.
For sure.
And last but not least for this color commentary section, the Steelers have placed an unrestricted free agent tender on Aaron Rodgers, with the potential quarterback competition between Will Howard and Mason Rudolph going on behind the scenes. And the Steelers also drafting Drew Aller in round 3. The question is Rodgers going to make any kind of return this season? Or will one of the competing quarterbacks right now be really the one that ultimately gets the starting job?
This is kind of an indirect answer, but oh, brother, this guy stinks. That being Aaron Rodgers. I think if anything, Will Howard could probably get taught by Mason Rudolph how to actually play an NFL game rather than just smoking ayahuasca or whatever he did, and hope to God that he could become the same quarterback ever again. But all Aaron Rodgers will be is a hippie, and that's the worst kind of NFL player.
Aaron Rodgers needs to make a sound decision sooner rather than later.
I mean, if he retires, he could always be a person for Aaron, the rent to own company.
Yeah, but I think it's gonna be more so
That's how he. It seems like that's how
whichever.
he's lived his life the past couple of years, is rent to own.
Yeah, but I also am gonna say whichever quarterback that does the best in the Mike McCarthy scheme between Howard, Rudolph, and or potentially Aller if he really develops well.
My guy has been looking at the behind the scenes for Dak Prescott for the past couple of years. I think he'll be okay.
Who are you talking, Aller?
Mike McCarthy.
Oh, Mike McCarthy. Oh, yeah, but I'm also talking that.
I know
But I'm
that.
also talking
I know
like
that sound.
whichever of the three quarterbacks kind of just fits it the best is gonna
I
kind of be the one that I think McCarthy chooses.
I love that sound where you're like you had that like sigh of oh shit, not McCarthy. God damn it.
Like McCarthy, the problem is that the Steelers have one of the most unappealing head coach offensive coordinator pairings in the NFL.
You
Like
could have
it
said
is.
that a couple years ago with Matt Canada. Wow, wow, wow.
No, no, we've already gone through our blame Canada phase. We kind
and
of now need.
now we're gonna blame Mike McCarthy for all the bullshit that happens between the Pittsburgh
Oh
Steelers
no
from
no
now
no no
to.
no! You realize that the offensive coordinator in Pittsburgh is still the screw job that is Artie Smith.
Wah, 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 wah.
So that's why I said I'm like, this is still the most unappealing head coach offensive coordinator pairing in the NFL right now. Like I am the least bit impressed or interested in that pairing.
Now I know what it
I,
feels like to be a Phillies fan that tries to grind all the way up to a light post, but to be disappointed by the amount of Crisco that is on that light post whenever they actually do something good.
sure. Anyway, let's move on to our stud and dud of the week. Ruckus.
Okay. I'll let my ruckus out now into the open as totally it was not there before. Anyways, my side this week is the Royals' offensive efforts along with a strong surge in bullpen developments. We had Alex Lang that kind of was a late bloomer as far as getting back to his good side. John Schreiber had some good outings. Um, really most of the bullpen. Lucas Ergazeg has been like a huge development for the Royals, and he's obviously feeling it and catching some lulls as far as him swearing on the broadcast, but apologizing afterwards. Like I effing live for this stuff. but he didn't say stuff. But anyways, yeah, like the Royals seem like they're doing a little bit better. They definitely can improve from whatever the hell happened like in April for the most part. But May seems to be doing better. But again, it's early. We'll see what happens. They need to get their stuff together. But my dud, um, which also is part of the Royals, but in a kind of good positive way, even though it's called a dud. But Hawaiian Bros had a promo in Kansas City, which goes from Kansas City, Kansas to Kansas City, Missouri. Those borders and stuff like that. Um, Hawaiian Bros has a promo that escapes the curse of Pepsi ads. Um, if the Royals score at least 6 runs in a home game, you get a free meal the next day. And it started to become more of a common occurrence to the point that Hawaiian Bros changed the ruling of the promo to buy one get one instead of getting a free meal. Um, there have been instances like like food promos like this in the past with Krispy Kreme, where if the Royals had 12 hits in a game, you got a dozen for or a dozen donuts free if you had your ticket with you at the time. So like if you had your ticket in hand, you could like exchange that for a free dozen. And for the most part, I feel like a dozen donuts is $12. Uh, if pending price of whatever the tax and whatever for the state is, but yeah, like back in 2003 is when it started, and I remember that as a little kid going to Krispy Kreme and getting a dozen donuts for free because my grandparents had tickets or whatever. But other than that, honorable mention. Uh, and then I will let Spennis talk more. Arrowhead Stadium. If you haven't seen on social media, the GEHA field or not field part, but the GEHA part of the lettering is being removed for the World Cup. It just says field. People are saying that it could be a huge waste of money to change all this, and it pretty much is, just to follow the guidelines of FIFA when it comes to sponsors that they do not support or just don't have on their roster. They want not put in for like a world event. So like it's like if Coke were to decide to do ads for Pepsi, like you don't want that because they're rivals. Sort of.
But it was but some of the compliance things are that they needed to remove a good amount of seats from like the lower sections to then have the field be bigger because a soccer field is bigger than a football field compliance with compliance with said FIFA dimensions, removal of all NFL branding for the time being. So I mean, if they're trying to make it look like it's not as much an NFL stadium as it would be just an actual stadium that they're going to have the tournament in. So it's more
So
so all these compliance things that or a profit that's going to be very very minimal.
and to think that um FIFA would bring in a lot more money to to the city, which we'll see later on in another episode. Um, to me, it kind of sparks. I mean, it's not like a huge outrage because, like, obviously they voted no for keeping the Royals and the Chiefs at Truman Sports Complex, but
And they've known for a
honest,
certain amount of time that this all was going on. The outrage is more so now that it's happening.
right,
But it's
and
something that's like, yeah, you knew that it was going to happen.
I think the writing was on the wall whenever GEHA decided to take the naming rights from Arrowhead to like boost some kind of profit. somewhere as far as whatever they were using to get that money from. But I don't know.
You signed up for this.
I don't
You
care
know,
at the end of the day, but to me, I was just kind of surprised that it happened because I didn't know the
yeah,
clause.
yeah. That's why. I mean, that's why I'm saying like the owners knew this going in, so they had basically it's like, yeah, you signed up for this. They like, any outrage you deal with is because of what you signed up for.
And I'm hoping that the traffic isn't as bad as they're saying it might be whenever the World Cup does happen.
Just
Fingers crossed.
international water, like it's really international waters at this point. You're pretty much gonna have to be prepared for something along those lines when it happens. Luckily, I'm on the outskirts of DC, but DC doesn't even have World Cup related material. The closest one for us is Philly that got it. So I'm okay.
Yep.
But I'm going to start with my honorable mention for stud, and that is Ted Lasso's Cristo Fernandez, who plays forward Danny Rojas. Football is life! As he gets a shot to play forward with the USL El Paso Locomotive. And Cristo Fernandez has a youth soccer background and stopped as a teenager due to an injury, but then has been back on the pitch scene with Ted Lasso the show. So now he actually can. So now it's shown that he actually can play. But I am going to start with my dud because the stud I truly have is going to be a segue for the next segment. My dud goes to Annapurna Interactive and Beethoven and Dinosaur, gaming developers, for releasing a walking simulator game called Mixtape that also brings such cringe as a graphic makeout minigame involving controlling a pair of tongues in their latest title. And
Yeah, I was a little turned
there is
off
a
by
sense
that.
that yeah, this has gone a bit further than where I would really want to go in playing a game. Their previous title, The Artful Escape, did a great job of kind of keeping things at a much like farther out scale. It's was smaller. It was longer at 2.5 hours longer, but it didn't require a ton of like difficult gameplay to get through. So it's just like it's basically like they made just an interactive cinematic that was nowhere near as good. It didn't have as much of the consequences like a Telltale game does. It carried no depth. Like it carries no depth. I didn't play it. Like I wanted to think about it, but then all of a sudden, once the cringe and all of the other stuff kind of came along, I just said hard pass. I'm out.
I saw
These
that and I
review.
thought, what the F? Because, like, that was kind of similar to what people thought during the Game of the Year awards thing, where, like, there was a random sexual event that was happening during a crucifixion or whatever the hell was happening for punishment during a
And the
game.
divinity. Oh, and the divinity. In the divinity
Yes.
prom. Oh yeah, that was definitely crazy for Larian to have that involved. But Larian also is an incredible gaming like Larian has earned their stripes as far as that from the Divinity series and Baldur's Gate and the Baldur's Gate 3. So it's not like it was a little much to have the graphics side on that, but at the same time, the quality of the game, in spite of that, is going to be top notch.
Yeah.
It's like this. It's like, oh, they did a great one. The gaming reviews are saying, oh, this is good. This is great. This is great. This is great. Some of the actual gamers are like saying, nah, this ain't it, Chief. and it's too polarizing on that side of it. And I just think that there's just too much that is really saying stay away. Although I thought I would have, although I almost like I had installed it, but did not even bother to open it. So I'm
That
just
was
like,
kind of me
yeah.
with the Last of Us stuff that was happening later on, because like the first game, yeah, it was pretty good, iconic, amazing
I
game.
did play part two. I did play and finish part two, and I thought the quality of game, like the quality of game that it was at, was good. I think that they could have made. They gave you too much of the hard sting of Joel's death very early, and I felt it was too early. I would have rather that been like what they did with Gustav in Clair Obscure Expedition 33, where
I
they kill him off in the middle of the first act, like at the end of the first act.
yeah, I was saying because obviously with the um what was his name again? Dutch, or not Dutch.
What for Last of Us, Joel?
Yes, yeah, Joel. Like, if they didn't kill Joel right away, yeah, that would have been different. But also, they added another part of it where it was like they had uh the same
Yeah,
gender in
yeah. There was a
love, and like a lot of people were up
there
in
was a scene.
arms.
There was definitely a scene. There was definitely a scene in that about 2/3 of the way through the game with Abby.
And
There was a
then
scene
wasn't
involved.
there a separate DLC for like extra content at
There
that?
was Last of Us Left Behind, which was the
Okay.
DLC in
Was
between
there
one and
what
two.
was there also something with Uncharted too?
Uncharted had a full or had what was supposed to be a small little expansion in four,
Uh-huh.
but it became a full game as Lost Legacy.
Yeah.
But it was but Uncharted 4's or Uncharted Lost Legacy was nowhere near as bad as like there wasn't as much like complete cringe
Right,
in that
but some
regard from
people during like early on whenever it happened could have thought of that. But anyways, let's
yeah.
keep going.
Yep. But my stud, I've been in the disc golf scene and I kept an eye on the pro tour, especially for throughout the end of this past weekend, as they were in Austin. But Jomez commentator and pro disc golfer Paul Ulibarri, who is also the captain of the Discraft Elite Series or the Elite team, came through in the clutch, winning from Chase Card at the Barbasol Open in Austin in a sudden death playoff against his own teammate in Ezra Robinson, and was also and there were a lot of players in that tournament that also were within two shots of making the playoff more than just Ulibarri and Robinson. And there were players within one, there were players within two, and it was an incredible disc golf tournament in Austin. That was very, very entertaining to watch come down to the wire. And Paul Ulibarri having the championship moment of parking the second shot in the playoff on hole 18 and making the birdie while Robinson had to settle for par to win the sudden death playoff was huge. And at that moment, we now will move on to our power rankings as we get to talk about our our category being championship moments. And Ruckus,
Do you want me to just rattle them off really quick?
well, I think we both mention our. I think we both could say like if you've got one that I have in a spot, we can. I can say that I have it there.
Okay. Um, so for my numero uno, I have the 2015 Royals clinching the pennant and the World Series, mainly because I was at the game where they clinched the pennant. It was super intense throughout, like the whole endeavor. But the fun part was when um Hosmer hit that I guess line drive you could say, or like double or whatever, that got Kane and a few other people in to like score that go ahead run. That was awesome to like see live. Also like the music that happened whenever the bullpen guy would get in, like Kelvin Herrera and Wade Davis, or they were mainly, I think it was All Bayarde by some Mexican rapper that was really good. Like you just heard it in the background, you're just like, damn, like I just want to like jam to this. Like it was that good, and also just being able to experience it like firsthand, like what a World Series opportunity looks like for like a celebration on the field. It speaks volumes. But other than that, number two, which speaks even more volumes because I was drunk as shit whenever I watched Super Bowl 54. This was before COVID. Uh,
Or kind of
before
as COVID was starting to eventually make its way.
this was Mahomes doing running wasp with Tyreek Hill and winning Super Bowl 54, and that's Mahomes' first Super Bowl. That is a second for the Chiefs at that point. Uh, I loved that time, and then we don't talk about that year or the year at. Well, no. Um, I guess we just don't talk about the year after because yeah, 55. No, no, no. Anyways, number three, I have when the Kansas Jayhawks face the Memphis Tigers in the San Antonio, I think Alamo Dome.
It might have been. It might have been there. Yeah. I mean, that
Uh,
was a
the,
really good. That was a really good tournament as well.
I it was either a San Antonio Dome or Alamo Dome. I just don't know what the difference is, but the what the real difference is, the Kansas Jayhawks came out later and beat the Tigers. Spoiler, um, but yeah, that was that was Mario Chalmers.
Yeah, it was a
That
Mario Chalmers. It was Mario Chalmers hitting the big shot and defeating Calipari and Derrick Rose on the
yep.
Memphis side.
And then number four, I have the 2018 Boston Red Sox,
The do
where
damage socks. Yep.
yep. And then Super Bowl 44, it was the iconic Super Bowl where the Saints took over the second quarter and went off of a onside kick, and then just their secondary just helped them out later on. But yeah, also very memorable for me because that was the time that I bought the Madden NFL 11 cover with Drew Brees.
Okay. So a couple of my honorable mentions were Super Bowl 34, where the American underdog Kurt Warner won his Super Bowl as going from an undrafted quarterback and a free agent, and pretty much a free agent that had to cover in for an injured Trent Green, to becoming a Super Bowl champion with and leading the first year of the greatest show on turf with Marshall Faulk, Isaac Bruce, and the tackle within 1 yard. And then the PBA US Open, where Pete Weber had the "Who do you think you are? I am" moment, was also in my also considereds. Number five for me was the 2016 Cleveland Cavaliers overcoming a 3-1 series deficit to win their first ever finals, and LeBron winning a championship in Cleveland.
That was very iconic.
Super Bowl 44 was my number 4. That was a really good Super Bowl between Peyton Manning and Drew Brees. I had no issue with who won, sort of. Although I was rooting for Indianapolis, I was still very happy with New Orleans because I am not a Drew Brees hater. The second half kickoff, or the second half kickoff with the onside kick, was a very iconic moment that seldom will ever be repeated. Number 3, I have the 2016 Chicago Cubs breaking the curse of the Billy Goat, rallying back from a 3-1 deficit over the Cleveland, at the time, Indians and Corey Kluber. Number 2, I have Super Bowl 42, where the Spygate Pats were perfect no longer. The iconic David Tyree helmet catch, where Eli Manning escaped the pass rush of Richard Seymour, who nearly took him down. But once he got out, he got the ball out and got it and stuck it right on David Tyree's helmet. And number 1, the 4 nights in October. In 2004, it's the 2004 Red Sox rallying back from 3 games to none against the Yankees to win the pennant, and then continued the streak of winning their final 8 games of the season, or 8 games of the postseason, to defeat the Cardinals in the World Series. So I'm gonna say, yeah, the 4 nights in October as a Red Sox fan to reverse the curse of the Bambino was probably the most iconic thing, because ESPN did a 30 for 30. Jimmy Fallon's Fever Pitch was a movie kind of around that time frame. MVP Baseball 2005 had Manny Ramirez on the cover, and the opening song that you would have in there was Tessie by the Dropkick Murphys, going kind of about that. So the 4 nights in October was, it carries a whole lot of legend. And to close out the episode, we now will get into lights, camera, action, or at least as we prepare for our final couple of segments. We now move on to lights, camera, action. Ruckus, what have you been kind of keeping up with over the last few weeks?
Mainly, so for watching, I've been re-attempting to watch Ozark. I didn't get all the way through like the whole series, but the show came out around 2014 and has still been going strong on Netflix. So I decided to just rewatch it, and so far so good. Euphoria season 3 is still going strong. It's what you expect from a series called Euphoria. Other than that, I've been watching YouTube videos for tech YouTube, like J2 and a few others, but that and just listening to podcasts here and there from like Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast and Painkiller already. That's about it. As far as playing, I have potential content lined up. I am wanting a person to play co-op on Arc Raiders on the new map, but first come first serve, and or we'll stay tuned. We'll just see what happens on the director at the end of the day. Other than that, the Battlefield 6 update was okay. Other than that, that's all I have to say.
Right. So, what my other half
Okay.
and I have been watching together, it has been Taskmaster season 21 with Kumail Nanjiani, and it has been a very very funny season, where there's been some moments where something random kind of occurs and I'm cracking up, and I'm cracking up because it actually is a good, it's a good laugh. We've been keeping up with a bit of Taskmaster, which has been surprisingly good. This is also going along with us still watching Survivor 50, Top Chef 23, um, America's Culinary Cup, but we've also been adding another Food Network challenge. Have you ever heard of something called the 24 and 24 challenge?
I have not.
Okay, so hear this out. This is another cooking show, but
Okay.
24 challenges.
Okay.
And this thing, 24 players, 24 challenges, 24 hours straight. So
So
the challenge, so it goes,
so
so the entire season
so you have to gauge it based on an hour in a sense when it comes to getting
is in
in.
a no is in a time frame of 24 hours straight.
Right. So wouldn't it be a challenge per hour,
Not necessarily, because
or
a lot of the
really like
challenges
30 minutes a
no
challenge?
no because it's a lot, like they run longer challenges, but it's a lot of challenges like rolled together. Like there's some where it's a lot of challenges kind of rolled together. The first half of this season in 24 and 24, they split the field. They split the field in half. 12 of them ended
Oh.
up getting a cautious challenge, and the other ended up getting a bold challenge. So that was challenge one and challenge two. There was one in the most recent episode we watched
So they add
where
more
there was
flavor to it, like they add more spice to it with more extremities
yeah.
rather than like
Oh yeah, it's not like challenge, 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 and all of that small amount of space. It's like the shifts also feature challenges.
that would be kind of funny though, just to see how that would go, even though if it was
So
a disaster.
yeah, so the most recent episode, you had a main course entree challenge in the theme of a black tie, but and you had 90 minutes for that one thing, but you only could use 5 ingredients plus whatever was on your station from a previous shift.
Oof.
However, to pick up additional ingredients and also get your chance to actually not have to compete in a or in the main course where 3 people would get eliminated, you had the option of this. You had to an amuse bouche where it's a single bite. It's basically a single bite challenge.
Okay.
That, and for every challenge that people competed in, half the field would go, half the field would be able to make it through, would make it through. So the first one you had, I think it was like 12 players left, and 11 of them tried for it. So 5 people would go, would if they made it through, they would go through. They wouldn't even have to complete their entree. They'd go to the break room, wouldn't have to complete the entree.
Yeah.
There were 7 that did the appetizer round, and then it was ultimately that 3 more would go back, and they were down to 4 players, four chefs that had to compete in the entree round, and then you'd be down to, and only one of those chefs was able to get through.
Yeah.
So so there are different amounts of elimination. Every single tasting in this season is done blind. So the judge does not know which chef made it. So it's a lot less biased. It's hosted by Iron Chef Michael Simon. So it is it's a very brutal challenge in terms of the amount of, and through the first 3 episodes you're already I think like 9 hours and change through the actual day, and I think it'll go about 7 or 8. But it is a real, like, it's surprisingly really good for what it is. But as far as my playing side, I just finished Fire Emblem Engage. and it was worth the time that I spent on it. 40 hours, 40 plus hours later. And then I've been messing around in Pokemon Champions, playing in doubles, and I got to Master Ball rank in the first season. So happy about that. I now will get to do some more stuff with the new season once I finally get an opportunity to play for an extended amount of time. I just have been busy with other things to prepare for vacation and everything else, and prioritizing other things along the way. Ah, life happens, and now we start to round third and head for home.
Indeed.
The Bucks. NBA is taking no action over the Giannis Antetokounmpo Bucks probe. However, the Bucks are now in full open for business in seeking trade offers for the Greek Freak. If he gets traded, where do you think he ultimately ends up?
Maybe the Celtics? Shit, I don't know, really, to be honest. This seems like a case of the Royals where it took us a while to trade Whit Merrifield until like a few years later than where we needed to be to get like peak trade value for him. So
Mm,
shit, I don't know what happened. It's the
I mean,
NBA. You gotta get traded to the Wizards or traded to someone like maybe the Warriors or someone like that's actually willing to pay the price rather than
yeah,
just
I think
like
Golden State. I think Golden State would be an interesting spot, but I think the most fun would be. I would think it'd be interesting to see how certain teams like Detroit possibly pull out some sort of deal, like some big name team in the East trying to get him.
yeah.
The Wizards win the draft lottery. Although Daughtry would say it's no surprise, it's still nice to see for the team in the DMV. Because they have Trey Young, they have Anthony Davis, and now the potential of that player from BYU coming in. So I mean, they've got some names that are going to be able to do stuff, and hopefully the Wizards can improve. The NFL schedule will be releasing later this week, but we have found out when the Bills will be playing likely their first game in their new stadium. They will play the Detroit Lions in week 2,
There was
and it's
some
early on. And
there was some leak
yeah,
stuff for the Chiefs as well.
yeah, yeah, I knew there was some leak stuff there. I knew that the Commanders were playing in London at some point this year too as a home game. So there's plenty available.
Yeah, it's
And
Broncos versus Chiefs for us, and I don't know if it's gonna be
Monday night, I think it was a Monday nighter. I think that's the debut for Monday night.
right, but I just don't know who's gonna be the quarterback starting because I don't know if it's gonna be Mahomes. It'll probably just be Justin Fields, but
I think if
who,
Mahomes is at, I think Mahomes may be ahead of schedule. So I think if
dude,
Mahomes
that's him
is,
being a psychopath. Don't take that as for real. He would probably play right now if he wanted to, but doctors would probably say, uh, n- n- maybe with the right amount of money. No, I'm just kidding.
ahead of schedule, I said ahead of schedule. That does not necessarily mean he's medically cleared.
Yeah, because didn't they say something similar with Rogers, but they were trying to milk more of his recovery from when he got hurt with the Jets to like give optimism to the Jets.
There was something with that, but I think if it's Mahomes and how he kind of takes care of everything, it would not surprise me if the Mahomes one was a lot more believable than what you're trying to say in your cynicism.
Yeah.
That it
Anywho,
may be more believable than you think. And now the March Madness tournaments for men's and women's has officially expanded to 76 teams.
which is what we at or not we I asked for because
I
it would
did
be
not necessarily ask for this. I am more so concerned as to
they
how are you going to fill those spots?
I mean, they could have filled those spots with the team that they rejected, and that's what they're trying to go for. So there you go. I guess
But
wasn't there like
my
a
biggest
wasn't there a Nat tournament that took the people that were rejected by the NCAA
there's
tournament?
the NI I mean there's the NIT and then there's the college basketball crown.
Okay,
You're now
NIT
going to
was what I
have
was looking
probably
for.
yeah, you're going to have yeah, but what it's ended up becoming is that now that these now that the NCAA tournament is expanding, you you have the potential to rip into the quality of who should go into the NIT, but it's too many teams also are saying, "Oh, if we're not in the big tournament, we don't want to compete in your smaller foo consolation prize type." The NIT and the college basketball crown used to be an honor. It used to be an honor to be even selected for those tournaments.
Also, the shitty part about that is the NIL money too, possibly going into that
Yes,
maybe.
that is exactly why being selected for those tournaments is like a slap in the face to some of these bigger name schools that should be competing in those tournaments or those type of tournaments instead of the big one.
Yeah.
You don't get as much. You don't get as much. You're still getting games. You're still getting games you wouldn't normally be getting if you turn something like that down. These players are going to get their opportunities. Stop being stop stop basically being greedy for
Also,
money that
it also helps. It brings more positivity towards the expansion for the college football playoff as well, but maybe not. Maybe they're not on the same page as the college basketball people that want more ad revenue for doing a longer tournament because they have Capital One on their side. They have
oh my question is here with
many of
this is
them.
where's the trade-off? Like where's the trade-off? Are you intentionally trying to stretch the college basketball tournament out over a certain amount of time or are you wanting to move everything further up the timeline or shorten the college basketball regular season conference tournament window so you actually can start this thing properly in the beginning of March so you have early April as extra buffer room as the buffer room of when the college basketball season should be ending? Like what's the calendar window supposed to look like for this expansion?
I wonder if they're trying to align
And
it with like what the
you got to be
professionals
very
do to get them ready, but at the same time, not everyone's ready for the big leagues when it comes to basketball. So like, I really
yeah, I'm
couldn't.
like
I
what
don't have the magic 8 ball that says the magic word to say how to make sure this plan doesn't get totally screwed up. But
yeah,
at the same time,
and it's going to be an absolute guarantee that the first year they're going to find some way to screw the pooch.
and I feel like they're gonna do the same thing with the cultural playoff later on, and maybe part of my theory will be right, but part of the theory will be, well, shit, we just made another Woodstock, but
Well,
we'll see what
if for the
happens.
college football playoff, I am okay with 12, but if it does expand, I would want no more than 16. If they double the field, it becomes problematic.
Yeah,
Double the field, it becomes problematic, but would not be surprised if they doubled it. But you got to decide it very, very according. But 16 is pretty much about right.
yeah.
And on that note, that'll do it for episode number 180 of the Ruckus and the Menace podcast. I'm Spence the Menace.
And I am Ruckus, always, never, not ever, 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 ever causing a ruckus.
And until the next one, hugs and hand pounds, everybody.